Okay. Okay, would you roll in?
The 75th Ranger Regiment is a legendary unit filled with legendary men, and I've had the honor of getting to know one of these men. His name is Jack Voiles, a Vietnam-era Ranger, former Command Sergeant Major of 2nd Ranger Battalion, a living legend, larger than life, and an embodiment of the Ranger Creed, a true Ranger's Ranger. And this is his story. All right. Thank you for letting me do this, Sergeant Major. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just start at the beginning.
Okay.
So, like, when and where were you born?
Okay. I was born in Tacoma, Washington, 1943. My father was in the original 2nd Ranger Battalion. He met our mother at the Union Station downtown, and in 1940, he was out here from Illinois with the CCCs. And the President of the United States at that time, FDR, made the announcement in 1940 that they're going to start the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And so my father run down to Fort Lewis, Washington. This was before having basic and AIT. It was OJT at Fort Lewis with 2nd Ranger Battalion. At the same time, I had a father-in-law that was up here doing the same thing, but it was down in Portland, Oregon, and he ran down and got on a troop train and went to San Diego, and he went in the Navy because they were all part of that train and retain for FDR to working on trees and water and all that, roads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so Dad eventually thought he was going to miss World War II, so Mother took him down and put him on a troop train down in Tacoma, Washington, and he shipped from here back to Camp Forster, Tennessee, to go through Ranger training.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he first met the battalion commander and making selection to be in 2nd Ranger Battalion.
Did he ever tell you what that selection was like back then?
It was very difficult. Over 2,000 of them had gone through training, and then they only selected about 800 of them, and then of those, only 500 of them got into 2nd Ranger Battalion with the battalion commander. He actually came out of 1st Ranger Battalion during World War II, and then he was hand selected as the XO to become the battalion commander of 2nd Ranger Battalion.
Mm-hmm.
I was an Army brat, I grew up all over the United States, to include Italy and Germany, etc. And then later on in life, as I was getting ready to graduate from high school in 1962, uh, my nickname in high school was RA, Regular Army.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back from Germany, and I immediately, uh, after we got here, Fort Lewis and Tacoma, I had Dad take me down and then enlist me in the Army, and I went to Fort Ord, California, for basic AIT.
How old were you when you enlisted?
I was 19 years old, and stayed that way until I got through basic and AIT, and then I wound up at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I left up there and went back to Fort Benning and married my first sweetheart, and then we drove back to Fort Bragg, and then she had 2 children there with me.
And you were there up at the 82nd?
And with the 82nd, and I was 1505. It was a airborne battle group initially, and then later on, it was a battalion in the 3rd Brigade.
When you enlisted, did you enlist with airborne?
Airborne unassigned.
Okay.
Yeah.
As infantryman?
Yeah.
Okay. With being airborne, how many jumps do you have?
I have 979 parachute jumps.
That's got to be some kind of record, right?
Yeah, it is. We used to jump a whole lot more than they do today. Okay. I started off in jump school with the C-119 flying boxcar, and then the next airplanes I jumped was at Fort Bragg, and they were 124s, Globemasters, and 123s, and C-130s, and then I wound up jumping it's a 141 that and now that they jump is a C-17 Globemaster 3.
Okay. So you're up at Fort Bragg. What year?
I was at Bragg from 63 to 66.
Okay. And then where do you go after?
In 66, I went to Vietnam in 66 to 67 with the 2503 Recon Platoon, and I was also a tunnel rat, and grew up there in Vietnam. 10 months online before I got shot up. I got shot up in February of 67.
How many tours did you do to Vietnam?
I did 3 tours to Vietnam. I did the 173rd at Bien Hoa, and then later on in 1970, I went back to Vietnam to go to Charlie Company Rangers, Corps Company in Vietnam. And there I was both, I trained the ARVN Rangers to assume the Ranger mission in Vietnam. And then I got moved to become a platoon sergeant and then the op sergeant for Charlie Company Rangers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
While you were in Vietnam, or with Charlie Company Rangers, did you ever work with any other special operations groups while you're in country, like the Green Berets, MACV SOG, SEALs?
Yes. We did a lot of stuff, cross training with the 25th Infantry Division in Vietnam, also with Big Red 1 in the Iron Triangle, and the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment in D Zone. That's where I got shot 3 times. I got shot in my right arm, and I dropped my weapon to run away, and the guy shot me 2 more times in the back. And then I got the medevac in for me and another kid named Skidmore and Hernandez. They also got wounded the same day.
What rank were you at that time?
I was a no time and grade staff sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was when you were with Charlie Company?
Charlie Company Rangers.
Okay. What did the recovery look like for you?
Charlie Company Rangers, they had 4 platoons, and they had 7 patrols, 6-man patrols. Okay, they also had a platoon sergeant, a platoon leader, commo, and medic in each platoon. Okay, and then right there at the end, we started to draw down, and so we closed out 1 platoon and then closed out another platoon until we filled, and then the 4th platoon and the 3rd platoon was the last 2.
So post Vietnam, are you still a staff sergeant?
No, I was a command sergeant major, and I was selected out of the secondary zone, and came back to the States from Alaska. I was a Arctic paratrooper at Fort Wainwright, Alaska. And when I came back, I went through the Sergeant Major's Academy, and then I was selected to be the Sergeant Major of 2nd Ranger Battalion in 62. And I was there from 62 to 85.
So when talks start to form about forming the modern Ranger Battalion, what did that look like, and what role did you play in the battalion being formed into the regiment?
Okay, I was in Bravo Company Rangers at Fort Lewis, Washington, before there was a 2nd Ranger Battalion. We did not realize that Alpha Company and Bravo Company Rangers were going to fold, and we were going to be the feeder stock for the 2nd Ranger Battalion and the 1st Ranger Battalion.
Mhm.
We left out of here in 1974 and went to Fort Benning, and we formed 1st Battalion and 2nd Ranger Battalion. We went through an advanced, modified advanced course there, and then we received 25% of the standing army, and we received 2/3 of the battalion out of the training base.
Mhm.
And then we put them through a modified selection committee and training, advanced individual skills, collective skills, and then finally everything was based around live fire exercises for 1st Ranger Battalion and 2nd Ranger Battalion.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what we did. Later on in life, when we got a frag order from SOCOM here at Fort Lewis, that they were going to form the 3rd Ranger Battalion, then I was instrumental in selecting the cadre for the 3rd Ranger Battalion and the regimental headquarters.
Mhm.
And that was myself, Artrell Cobb, and Wigglesworth, and the 1st Ranger Battalion Command Sergeant Major, and I, out of 2nd Ranger Battalion, went to DA and selected the cadre for the 3rd Ranger Battalion and regimental headquarters.
Mhm.
Once we did that, then I went to Fort Benning after naming Downing as the battalion regimental commander. We set the standard for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ranger battalions downtown with some instructors that had to be released from there when we got to talking about classified stuff.
Mhm.
But they then they fell right in, and they started training for 3rd Ranger Battalion in the regimental headquarters itself. And so I know a lot of those people that went into the regimental headquarters and 3rd Ranger Battalion.
So during this time, you're Command Sergeant Major of 2nd Ranger Battalion during the U.S. invasion of Grenada.
Yes.
So when do you learn that the regiment is going to be invading Grenada?
It wasn't the 3rd Ranger Battalion at that time. It was the 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalion. We got a frag order, and the colonel and the battle staff went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and they sat down with 1st Ranger Battalion,
Mhm.
and they planned the operation. And this was October of 1983. And that weekend, on Friday night, we got a a warning order. Myself and the XO here at Fort Lewis were the only two knew that we were going to combat.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing was true with 1st Ranger Battalion. The colonels were at Fort Bragg with the battle staffs, planned the operation. We did the troop movement from here on Saturday, and it was 141s, and we moved the battalion to Hunter Army Airfield as the REMAB, and we left on Saturday, and then we put to bed the battalion and 1st Battalion, and as the commanders came back with the battle staff, we gave them the warning order, and then we started issuing live ammunition and doing initial planning for the invasion of Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then once we did that, on Sunday night, we loaded 2 serials of MC-130s from Herbert Field, and then we flew Sunday night and jumped the next morning at 0700 hours in Grenada
Mm-hmm.
at 500 feet.
You were the jump master for that.
I was a jump master on the lead aircraft from the 2nd serial. We were actually the initial people dropped from the 1st serial from 1st Battalion. Then they turned out to sea and fell in behind us, and then we became the initial battalion for 2nd Ranger Battalion. And then as we jumped, then they fell in behind us and they jumped in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we did that, we took the airfield down and we established 1st Battalion on the left, the 2nd Battalion on the right of True Blue Medical Facility. And at the after the first day, we had captured about 20 Grenadians, and we also destroyed in 2nd Battalion with the Grenadian militia was trying to run the airhead with BTR 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And we killed 2 of the BTR 60s. The 3rd one turned and went north, and 1st Battalion killed the 3rd Battalion BTR 60 with loss. They didn't bring their 90s in
Mm-hmm. like
we did. Okay, we utilized once we did that, the first night, the 82nd Airborne Division started combat air landing, and as they started combat air landing, we held the line, and then we got a frag order from the 82nd Airborne Division that we should fall back and put the 2 battalions to bed, and they would pick up the defense of the airhead.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. The next day, we got ready to go into uh, grand aunts and rescue 235 students, uh, and we did that with uh, aircraft from uh, the assault element. Was done by going in with CH 46s and landed in the assault force on Calvigny. And then once we did that, one of them got shot down, and but the HH-53s came in, and they started bringing the students out in the assault element from Second Ranger Battalion. When they got back to the airfield, they went through. Uh, we took them across the airfield to turn them over to the State Department. And when we did that, one of the Rangers came up and told me that we had left a patrol at Calvigny.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him to go transmit into Blind to go hide. We'll pick him up the next morning. That evening at 8 o'clock, I got a telephone call from the carrier, and they said that they went back. Raquel from Second Ranger Battalion had taken the assault force back and went to the 46, got the rubber boat out, blowed it up, and pumped it up, and paddled out to sea and got on board the carrier. And that night they fed them in the carrier, and the carrier task force sent them back the next morning uh, with where the helicopters were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we used those same helicopters on the third day to go into uh, another place and and take that one down, and they lost 3 out of 5 helicopters that were uh, 60 aircraft
Mm-hmm.
type helicopters. Okay, they were flying for 82nd Airborne Division, and of those aircraft, 3 of them, one got shot down, and 2 of them crashed into 3 helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
So, out of the original 8, there was only 5 left flying. We did extract the hulks from the aircraft that got crashed, and sent them back to the States to be evaluated on what had taken place. Um,
So how long in total were you guys in
we
Grenada?
175 and 275 were there actually about 6 or 7 days. Okay, and then we flew back to Hunter Army Air Base, and I got a bunch of the guys out of uh, different hospitals at Fort Bragg and Fort Stewart, and then got them on board the aircraft to fly back to Fort Lewis, and some of them were medically discharged from the service because of their injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can't recall their names. Later on, I'll remember their names.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but some of those that got extracted, they didn't come back with the assault element. We Second Ranger Battalion, when we got back to Fort Lewis, we had to conduct a memorial at the post chapel uh, for uh, 3 Rangers from Second Ranger Battalion and 1 Ranger from First Ranger Battalion uh, that got killed down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we took care of reconstituting because we were on division ready force for the Ranger Assault Force. Second Bat was.
Mm-hmm. So what did that look like for you guys?
When you get ready to go on, assume the battalion in the barreled. We had to get all the combat losses reconstituted. We had to re-zero all the people's weapons and everything else, and then we did that at Fort Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
and then we once we did all that, we were the number one 18-hour wheels up on the lead aircraft coming out of here to going someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
First Battalion and Second Battalion, we shared that for many years together. Later on, when Third Battalion was added to the mix, then now you had the Third Battalion, Second Battalion, and First Battalion in the assault force, and it's reconfigured differently now than it was initially when we went into Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So following Grenada, what's your military career looking like for you?
My career, I left battalion and ended up going to Fort Carson, Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and there I was G3 Sergeant Major, and then eventually my wife got cancer, and I got a compassionate reassignment back to Fort Lewis, Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and I was assigned to the NCO Academy at Fort Lewis.
What year is this that you're back at Fort Lewis?
That was 80. It was 87
Okay.
and 88.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then as soon as she died, I was transferred to I-Corps as a G3 Sergeant Major, and then because of Desert Storm, we assumed 18th Airborne Corps mission,
Mm-hmm.
and we needed to turn all the vehicles in and purify the assault element at the SeaTac and that was based upon Humvee ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
They were all uh, same truck frame. The combo layout was the same, but it was the five 5/4 trucks. Okay, and by doing it that way, we could take the assault element in, and the first aircraft that when it landed, it had all the 06s in there for G1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and also the combat control team, etc. Okay, then the next vehicle in that became the jump vehicle for the corps commander. There was a method to our madness, the way we did all that stuff. Okay.
Just to pull it back a little, so you're G3 Sergeant Major. What does that entail?
I would have. I had the SeaTac, a C rear,
Mm-hmm.
and the C main. Okay, and that would compact. The Corps headquarters had 23 sergeants majors in it. Okay, and when you flesh that all out, uh, we would go doing team spirit and other things with it, with um, Hawaii with the 25th Division, other units here in the continental United States, like the 38th Infantry was one of those units. 40th Mech was one of those units.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but it was all based around uh, the Corps headquarters going in as part of the thing. Okay, so but it could have as well been uh, a slice from First Ranger Battalion and Second Ranger Battalion and Third Ranger Battalion,
Mm-hmm.
or what have you. It depended on where we were going. With team spirit, we did that thing. Okay, but we also did the stuff in Europe with the people going over there.
Mm-hmm.
When we had a big contingency over there with the 5th Corps and 7th Corps.
So post invasion of Panama, or during the invasion of Panama, did you have any role in that?
As the command sergeant major, I was the jump master and lead aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
I was the command sergeant major of 2nd Bat. Okay, and the assault element was I'm going to say it was 260 odd Rangers
Mm-hmm.
from 1st Battalion or 2nd Battalion, and the same thing with 1st Ranger Battalion. Okay, so we had part of the battalion from 2nd Ranger Battalion went in on the assault force. 2/3 of it was left back at uh, at uh, at the remab.
Mm-hmm.
as well as 2/3 of 1st Battalion was left back at the rehab. Okay, we took only a, a skeleton crew, but they were all uh, out of 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalion guys, hand selected. The other guys, they could have had to come in later on, but they didn't have to.
How long were you guys in Panama?
During the Panama thing, again, 1st and 2nd Ranger Battalions conducted jumps going into Panama. And then we took Panama down, and once it was all down and we got Noriega and everything else, then we piecemealed and relocated them to Fort Lewis and Fort Stewart. Okay, the third battalion was not part of the Panama caper. Okay, it's just the way the force structure was at that time. Eventually, when we came back from Germany and we formed 3rd Battalion, it took them 6 months, just like it took us 6 months, to be able to stand up the 3rd Battalion.
Meet the minimum force, and the leadership.
Yeah. It took, and that's, and only then, after they did an RTEP, they were declared combat ready. Then they could go in. Yeah.
So now we're post Panama, post Desert Storm. Where are you at, and what are you doing? Are you still up here?
I retired in '92 out of I Corps.
How many years of service?
That was 30 years.
30 years
as a command sergeant major, and I rode empty, and then I went to do work study at American Lake Hospital, and then I got hired on there for 11 years at American Lake, and then I got medically retired out of that because I had some issues with being dyslexic with the computer. Okay, that's the reason I got out.
Okay.
But I've kept up with 2nd Ranger Battalion all along with different people that were still active, and I got invited out there as with my wife and grandson to do the Jump Master MTTs and other things like that. Okay, and that was with Hugh Roberts, and the other one was Stanley McChrystal, the battalion commander. I did go over there during the this year when we did the at the theater over around 2nd Ranger Battalion. I did go over there and see a lot of the old Ranger scrolls and old soldiers that served with me in different places
Mm-hmm.
all over the at Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So 30 years of service,
yeah,
seeing and doing stuff
yeah,
that, I mean, most people will
yeah,
never get to do
yeah,
or imagine.
yeah.
If you could go back, would you do it all again?
Everything just
Everything?
exactly the same way. Uh, that that gave me a lot of transferable skills to uh, train Third Ranger Battalion and other people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and but I would not have changed anything. And you figure my lips uh, helped establish the regimental headquarters and the selection of the 06s, 05s, uh, the combat control teams, all that stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's in the training that I did. Um, to go, you don't. When I was in First Ranger Battalion, uh, along with Ranger Conrad and Cobb, we went in Charlie Company Rangers. Uh, we decided we were going to train uh, the company on demolitions and landmine warfare and the so I uh, selected the ammunition, the torpedo, Bangalore torpedoes, the C4, the shape chargers, all that stuff. We took it down range, and when it showed up, uh, I decided that we needed to establish at Fort Stewart a demo lane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I used a 5-ton truck to drag an M59 APC out of the impact area into uh, the demo area. Then I had the S4 order 6-foot in diameter concrete culverts and put those in. And then we used the bulldozers and the bucket loaders to put dirt all over them around in a circle that was going to be the demo lane. Okay. And then we trained the soldiers on throwing hand grenades and M16A1 bounding mines. These were all live mines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought they were going to be training mines, but they were live ammunition. The same thing with the anti-tank mines. Okay, uh, so we used those to train the Rangers how to put the minefield in and extract the minefield, but also use that for the Bangalore torpedoes for breaching, and also with demolitions uh, with C4, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so after I did all that down there, um, fast forward to come up here to Fort Lewis, I brought that same information up here and downrange here at Fort Lewis. we did basically the same thing with making the demo range, and for them to be able to do all these things up here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it is what it is. Uh, it's good that I had information like that to be able to cross pollinate uh, First Battalion and Second Ranger Battalion
Mm-hmm.
together. Then when we formed the Third Ranger Battalion down at Fort Benning, they got basically the same thing, but they've got the demo range there, and but the other outlying people here didn't have that until we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's good that we did.
Yeah, absolutely. You have any for like any currently serving Rangers or anyone that's aspiring to become a Ranger? You have any words of advice, or what would you say to them?
You got to go to just like we did with B Company Rangers at Fort Carson, Colorado. I sent 120 people through pre-Rangers training there, and then they all went in 2 classes to Fort Benning, Georgia, and they all graduated back in '72. And then we shipped up here in '73.
Mm-hmm.
Again, at First Ranger Battalion, I used the same model to train the Ranger students with pre-Ranger. And today's day, we have the pre-Ranger going on down at Fort Benning, Georgia, and the selection down there for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ranger Battalion and the regimental headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
But all that started with old B Company Rangers, and then into 2nd Bat and 1st Battalion. Okay, it all came out of the same pool.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I realized when I was there as an instructor. Okay, I went through there as an E5 in '65, and to get the Ranger tab, there was a lot of no shows goes back then.
Mm-hmm.
By doing the pre-Ranger up front before they get to Ranger school, you have a higher percentage of graduation. In 2nd Ranger Battalion alone, okay, only 2 out of 58 would fail, whereas 58 would make Ranger school.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. Okay, it's a leadership school, but if you front load them, you get higher return later on with trained people. And the same thing is true today as it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what it is now. I can remember being there in the better part of three and a half years, pushing Ranger students, whether it be a high percentage of failures. And then all of a sudden, by doing it the other way with pre-ranger, you get a higher percentage that's joining the force later on in ranger tabs. Okay, yeah. Okay, you want to just hold back now and go back and do it something later on?
Yeah, if that works best for you.
Well, I'm not ready to. I'll run out of gas.
Yeah, we can finish up right here.
Yeah.
Jane, is there anything you want to say for it?
Oh, I just think,
Here.
I was thinking,
Come take my seat and then
oh, okay.
talk in the microphone
Okay.
so that it picks up.
Okay,
I'll grab the seat.
okay, babe. Yeah, yeah, the knees.
And then just hold it close
I'll
to
just
you
hold it
so I
close.
can hear.
Okay, and just sit here?
Yeah.
Okay, babe. My goodness. I'm amazed. This man is almost 82, and what he's done. I just sit there and listen. And that's only a small part of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's his whole life, but a hero walks among us. And how many people know that he's walking among us?
Yeah.
I'm listening to him. This man at 82 has more of a brain than, than most of us have, So that's he's a hero. He just is. And I think for Ranger, I look at you and I'm so proud of you. And I see all these young men and I'm so proud of them. I am. It makes me proud. I was sitting there thinking, I worked for, before I met Jack, I worked for 2 Navy commanders over in Bremerton. And there's a lot of back and forth between the Navy and the Army, but I love the Army. I love all the Corps, all of it. And but he is, I think he's top dog. I think he is. I think he's, I don't know how you
No
can.
arguments there.
No arguments there. Thank you. You did a beautiful job.
Yeah. Thank you guys for letting me do this. It really means a lot to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. I am so glad. And I'm glad you got to see his I Love Me room.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. But all right, yeah. I mean, I think that's a good place to finish up.
Okay.
Thank you
We
guys
could
so
do
much.
that.
Thank
We
you
could
for your
do that.
service and building the regiment into what
So-
it is today.
What you don't know is that when I was at the Ranger Training Command, during Vietnam, I put so many people through Ranger School, and then to find out, I knew it when I was there as an instructor. Okay, that SEAL Team 1, 2, and other units came through Ranger School, okay, as well as foreign companies, okay, from Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, etc. Okay, and then the same thing is true when I went through Ranger School. Okay, I was trained with guys that were in the Marine Corps. And then later on, as I was part of the the Ranger Training Command. Again, you're putting those people through Ranger School, okay? And to this day, I can tell you, Ranger Tate and a captain named Tate went through Ranger School with me, okay? And again, I can remember and I can remember other ones that that were in the Marine Corps that while I was there went through Ranger School, okay? And I pushed them through Ranger School at that time, okay?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. They ran away during in processing day, and then came back drunk as skunks. And then I had to let the Marine Corps know that this had happened.
Yeah.
And so then they showed up, and the first thing they asked me is, Ranger Voiles, where is the hand-to-hand pit? I said, just up over the hill. You'll see a big black and yellow Ranger tab down there. That's the hand-to-hand pit.
Yeah.
They went down, and one of the guys was named Rabbit, and the other one's name was Fox. I can remember their names that was going through Ranger School, okay? And after they got through going to the hand-to-hand pit, they came back, apologized, went through Ranger School, and then they got their tab, okay? Yeah. But it was funny because they had run away because they didn't want to go to, they were overseas assignments in the Marine Corps, and then they were going shipped here to go through Ranger School, okay? And then they did, okay?
Yeah.
But it's amazing. But well, we can talk about some other stuff later on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Major. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk to you then.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
If you stayed to the end of this video, thank you. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me, and I know it means the world to Jack and especially Jane. Two really amazing people. Jack has done more than I can imagine and more than I'll ever get to do in my life. And preserving that history is very important to me. So that's why I made this. I hope a lot of people see it. Not for any like attention seekingness of myself, but purely to honor Jack and his 30 years of service to this nation. Yeah, again, if you watched all of this, if you're watching this now, thank you. It means the world to me. Yeah, just God bless you. Have a great day.